Hey everyone, welcome back. In this detailed video, we are going to experiment with a new feature functionality that we are going to implement for Microsoft Teams Bot using Microsoft Bot Framework SDK v4 C Sharp. So as we all know, with the enhancement of ChatGPT OpenAI, the response is quite fast if we see it as a streaming response. But for Microsoft Teams channel, until we generate the whole response, we cannot show it to the user. So this is where this experiment is coming into picture. We will try to implement the streaming response for the Microsoft Teams channel. And yes, so first of all, let me show you some of the quick recap that we'll be building in this detailed video. Let's say hi to the bot. So as you see, it has typed. So let me ask it to generate, just tell me a story. That will be better. It has a long response. And also in the video, you will find that we have implemented one word at a time thing. But later, after the video, I tried experimenting it with a long text at a time. Yeah, currently it is sending 30 words at a time, but in the video you might see one word at a time. But we have completed the complete implementation code. You'll find the code in our repository website. There is not much change, there is only a counter. I have also discussed how we can achieve that in the video. And let me ask it to write some code. Okay, so see here how quickly it is writing. So with this implementation, user need not wait for the complete response to be completed and then show it to the user. You can show the response as quickly as possible. Okay, this is a better user experience that will be game changing in Microsoft Teams bot. I'm not sure if there is an existing functionality available. I searched a lot, but I could not find a ready-made library. Well, there is some library, but I could not find the example of that, how to utilize that. So that is all. Let's get started. Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be exploring how we can send streaming data to Microsoft Teams bot. We'll be building this bot using Microsoft Bot Framework SDK, C Sharp. So with the enhancement of OpenAI ChatGPT services, it is now crucial to implement the streaming responses so that we don't want the user to wait till the whole response is generated and then show it to the user. With a streaming response, we can show it as soon as some chunk of data is generated by ChatGPT OpenAI. As we all know that Teams do not yet support the streaming responses, but maybe in the future it might support, but we have an alternative to implement that. So let's try and get this done. First of all, I'll be creating the Azure Bot resource. This process we have done numerous times, so let's quickly finish this up. And on the Visual Studio side, I have taken up the EchoBot template. And also I converted this project to .NET 8. And also I will need to modify the program and startup CS files. So we'll be getting rid of startup.cs file and keep all the dependency injections in the program.cs file. Currently, the template do not support yet, but most of the bot framework samples are structured that way already. But that's fine. And you must have received a notification that in May 2024, this .NET 7 will complete its standard life cycle. Basically, it's ending. So we have time till May 2024 to migrate all our applications to .NET 8. Okay. All right. So coming back to this piece, Azure OpenAI has released the client libraries that will be used for us to have better control over the streaming response data. It will be difficult task for us to implement from the scratch using the API streaming point, the custom API. It will be better for us to use the client libraries so that we can just refer the respective properties and methods from the response to get our data. Okay, we have our Azure bot resource ready. We'll go to channels. I'll not be implementing the manifest uploading. We'll directly go from here and start the communication. Let me run my ngrok. One good feature that ngrok has released is you can now use custom domain name. Basically, that domain name will be fixed. This is much helpful. You just start running your ngrok server and you did not come to your Azure resources to change the messaging endpoint. That gets fixed. Currently, as of now, I need to replace this every time I open my ngrok server. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to before that, let me just run this application and then we can modify it. Okay, I'll go to channels and open in Teams. Remember, I'm not using manifest to customize my chatbot. I'm using directly opening the link. So let's say hi. Okay, I also forgot to include app ID and app secrets. Let me quickly do that. Okay, perfect. Let me restart. Okay, there we have our response. Okay, this is the echo bot. Whatever I say, it will reply me back with the same message. Here it is. Perfect. Now, what we'll do, we'll go back to echo bot. Let me increase the screen size so that it is visible to you, all of you. Okay. Now let's implement the client library. Wow, the page is really changed. The UI UX is really looking nice. Just couple of minutes back, when I opened it, it was the old UI, but now they changed it. This is really looking nice. Amazing. Hopefully they changed it at all the places. But how do I find the documentation link? Usually it will come at the bottom for all the Azure products. Now I need to check where I can find the documentation links. So here it will be portal use case documentation. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we'll be calling the simple chat GPT without data, but with data, even they have released the client library. Let me show you that quickly. If I go to C Sharp, and here we have the client library without streaming response and with streaming response. But they haven't included the documentation for this extension piece. This is an important piece that allows you to connect to your sources, which is the Azure Cognitive Search as the source. It's simple one, but if you need to customize it, that documentation is still not available. What does that mean is if you want to include the filters, if you want to include the content fields, vector fields, that piece is still there in the client library, but documentation is not there how to use that. So that's the reason I'll not go with the use your data. I'll just go with a normal chat GPT, that is chat completions, C sharp. Here we have without streaming response, and here we have with streaming response. Let me copy this piece of code. And also let me install Azure OpenAI. Remember, it's still in preview. So you'll not be able to see that preview package until you click on this include pre-release and select the package. Microsoft is constantly developing this. Within just a month or two, it came from beta 0.4 till 0.8, so they're continuously developing this. Perfect. Now we can import our namespaces. Yeah. Now Azure OpenAI endpoint. Let's call our app settings.json. Let me include this here. Similarly, Azure OpenAI key. Okay, let me get these two values from Azure OpenAI Studio. I'll click on view code. This is my endpoint. This is my key. Perfect. Now I can just get this from configuration. So let's import that. Okay. Perfect. Let's move this right a little bit so that it's properly arranged. Yeah. Okay. Will not be implementing the state management or maintaining the history. We already have created that video earlier. With the use of storage account, we can maintain the state, or we can use Azure Cosmos DB as Microsoft suggests that. I'll be creating that video too, how we can utilize Cosmos DB to maintain the state. For now, let's get rid of this, and this needs to be dynamic. Turn context dot activity dot text. Okay, and let's make the max token as 800. I'll be making use of GPT-4. I think it is GPT-4. Okay, I have the turbo. Let me use the turbo. All right. And this is how you can fetch the streaming response. Yes. Okay. Message.content. All right. So, how would you change that constantly? The best way, let's see how it behaves and then we can see. Okay. Yeah. Let's see how it behaves now. What's the current behavior, and then we can try to modify it. Okay, bot encountered an error. That's fine. Let's see what is the error. Let me get rid of this so that you might have to provide some condition here so that you don't want to send the message, error message to the end user. I'm just copying this error code here, and let's start. Let's say hi again. Okay, resource not found. Resource not found. Wait a second. Did I put all the details correctly? GPT 3.5 Turbo. GPT 3.5 Turbo. Let's see the deployments. Yes, that's correct. Let's go to app settings and check. Okay, got it, got it. This is the code that I had to use, and I think documentation is still not updated. Okay, till streaming chat completion, I have to use this code. Let me go back. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Perfect. Now this will work because we haven't included any parameters. Okay. Yeah. Now let me put turn context dot activity dot text. Okay. Yes, this should definitely be working. Now let's get the configuration from here. Put a slash. Okay, that's fine. OpenAI key, we can get it from configuration. Perfect. And perfect. I guess this should work. Let's quickly check. Still bad request. Very strange. Well, I tested this yesterday using my uh, Blazor application. This was working absolutely fine. It's time for us to debug this thing. Before debugging, let me change this activity handler to Teams activity handler just in case. It is showing me status as 200. Okay, the issue is with this one. There's no issue with Azure OpenAI. There's issue with the response that we are trying to send. Okay, got it. Let me come here and let's see. Okay, it is null. Since it is okay, got it. Since it is streaming response, what we can do if string dot is null or empty message content, if it is not null or empty, then only show. Perfect. Hoping this should work. Okay, there we have. Okay, so the current behavior is hello, how can I assist you today? This is a streaming response, but it is coming one at a time, all the messages. So how do we try to work with this? How do we try to work with this scenario? So yesterday, while I was developing my Blazor application, I tried to implement the streaming capability using the Blazor server application. And yes, the UI UX were not that great, but the response was pretty good. So let's try to implement that. So this was my Blazor code yesterday. I just asked ChatGPT to implement the HTML code for that because I am not expert in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So yeah, it helped me with the HTML code. So this is the way how we can utilize this. So let me copy this piece of code and paste it here. Okay. We do not need this one. This one, they are specific to Blazor. This one. Okay, and we are done. We are not done yet. Still some work needs to be done. Okay. Basically, we create a string and then we show that response to the user. Okay. And that string keeps on appending with a new message content. Okay. Perfect. And since we do not want to get into that issue, the null, so let's put a condition. Okay. This seems to be fine. Now how we will show this message? Okay, we forgot about this one. Yeah, we need to implement these messages. Okay, we do not want that. Let me quickly get rid of this, and this time let me show this message. Okay, await turn context. Yeah, let's try this thing how it works, then we can quickly modify it based on that. This will still not work, but I need to check how is the behavior. Yeah, so this is a normal behavior. Until we have the whole message, it will stay there. Okay, now comes the magic that we've all wanted to implement. Okay, so what I'll do, I will call something this. I will call this statement update activity async. This is there in Teams bot, and some of basically this functionality is valid for few of the channels. One of them is Microsoft Teams and Slack. Others I have not explored it yet. So what this does is this replaces an existing activity. Yes. Before calling this, set the ID of the replacement activity to the ID of the activity to replace. Not all channels support this operation. For channels that don't, this call may throw an exception. But okay. So let's look at the documentation, how to use this. Teams Bot Framework Update Activity. Okay. To update an existing message, pass a new activity object with the existing activity ID to the update activity async method. Alright. So, of course, we can use the update card as well, but we'll first experiment with the text. Let's copy this piece of code. But how do we get the activity ID? How do we get the activity ID? Let's get rid of this statement from here. Let's copy this here, paste it here, and at the end also let's paste it here. Okay, turn context dot activity dot reply to ID. Okay, new activity ID reply to ID. hoping this should work. Let's try that. We're just experimenting as of now. Bad request. Perfect. The bad request the reason being the bad request because this will be null. Reply to ID. I'm assuming that this will be null. But it should still send us the first message. Okay. Initially it will be null. So we don't want to send that. If bot length is greater than 0, then only send this message. Okay, let's start again. Okay, it's sent as hello. The first response was hello, as you can see here, but later it did not send anything. Unhandled error activity ID cannot be null. Okay. So now let's experiment it further to update an existing message, pass a new activity object with existing activity ID to the update. Okay, now that. Okay, let's see the sample code. That we will have better understanding. Okay, update. There it is. Card activity async. Let's go to that card activity async. There it is. Update. Okay, it is using cards. Send update card. Send update card. Okay, activity.id. This we did that. Activity.id return context reply to ID. But it did not work because for text messages it is really difficult to get that ID. This also we can do. Messages updated. Reply activity. Okay, let's do that. But there is no new activity. Let's comment this out for now. Let's use this again. Let's try to use this. Activity ID cannot be null. Let's try this one. Okay, forbidden. At least some different error. Perfect. Let's try now. Let's try to debug. Does it not allow me to update an activity? That's strange. Okay. we sent the first message, the new text activity for the activity. This is the activity ID, update activity assigned. Why it's forbidden? Okay, let's ask to Google Bot Framework update activity forbidden. Okay, somebody else has also got this error message. My mistake was in a way of taking activity ID, which has to be updated. The ID can be found from response only. So here's a working code. Old activity. I sent the response. Var activity ID response.id new activity ID. By the way, you can do the same from dialogues using step context. Perfect. This guy is amazing. Let's try this. Okay. Old activity text, it will be bot builder dot toString. Response, it is old activity. Response bot, this is the new old activity ID. The new activity, since we sent that, since it is in loop, we wanted to send this updated activity ID. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me add a flag. This is for the first time. First time is true. Is first time. If it is first time, we also need to specify that activity. And also new activity. This is, if it is first time, we need to send the old activity. First time is false. String old activity ID. Okay, so first time we send this. Now hold for the every other time we need to send this. Let's see if this logic is correct. Perfect, perfect. There we are. No. Okay, got it. The reason being, um, well, this need not be here. Well, this will complete our whole message. What we can do, we can take this out. Well, we are not using this old activity. We can initialize it then and there itself. Yeah. And let's initialize this old activity ID outside the first for loop. So now when we come out, we will use this. Okay. When we come out, we'll use this new activity final. Okay. So that it will have the final message. Perfect. Let's say hi. There we have. Let's ask something large response. Let's say, tell me a story. Perfect, perfect. Well, we need to think about the formatting aspect, but this is pretty cool. One thing to take care, this speed is not that good. Until now, we would have got the whole response quickly, but the speed is still not that good. But it's much better than waiting because the user can keep on reading the response until chatbot has finished. Okay. Let's ask something coding question. We can always optimize the response. Currently, what it is doing, it is going step by step, like one word at a time. What we can do, we can skip some of the words and then type it fully. I think this formatting is taken care of. Okay, that was good. And let's try to see how we can optimize it based on the number of characters that will be updated. So here, let's say, let's put it at the 5 times, 5 characters at a time. That will be better. I think for this video, this is fine. I have an idea about utilizing how we can speed up this response. So let me show you the idea, and then if in future we can implement that. So what I was about to do, I was creating a list of string, and then I will be adding all the responses in that list string till 5 responses, and I will be checking if the response is exactly 5, then send the message, else keep on piling up the response. So when the response is sent, clear the list item. This way, the response that we'll be getting will be 5 words at a time. That will be much faster. I think the one word is also nice. Okay, thanks everyone.